Okay, I'd like to call the session, the February 16th Williston Board of School Directors regular meeting at 7:10 p.m. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? I do not have any. Okay, hearing none. On to audience and communications. You folks have anything to say before we get started? Welcome. So that gets us right to our presentation, which is great. Today we're hearing from the World Languages team. Greg, you want to kick them off? Or?
Sure, be glad to.
All right.
He wants to kick us off.
Yeah.
I didn't say out, I said off.
No, I'm thrilled to introduce our World Language team, or most of our World Language team, here to present tonight. Kathleen Donahue, Ginny Mimo, and
You can do it.
Deborah Lasker-Zuski.
All right.
Nice.
And our other colleague, Michelle Chouanière, is not here tonight, but she's another member of our team. So,
Is it okay if we flip the lights?
Yep, sure is.
Is
Okay.
that too dark?
Nope. It's up to the camera.
well, maybe for me.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
That's fine, you can see it.
All right. So, do you want to flip to the next slide? Thanks. So, I'm here to talk a little bit about the national standards, the ACFL national standards. ACFL stands for the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. And this really directs the work that we do at WCS and World Languages. So I just want to briefly kind of touch upon this. Our mission is to educate students who can communicate in the target language in a variety of different settings for multiple purposes. We also want to educate students that can interact with cultural competence and understanding. So this involves building knowledge in other cultures and ways of being in the world to avoid stereotyping and also to promote empathy and understanding. Our mission is also to make connections with other disciplines to reinforce and expand students' understanding of subjects like history and geography and music and art. And to access and evaluate diverse perspectives through the language and the culture. Additionally, we want students to be able to develop insights into their own language and culture through comparisons with the language and culture that they're studying. And then finally, the ability to communicate and interact with cultural competence in order to participate in multicultural communities within and beyond the school setting, and to use the language for enjoyment, enrichment, and pursuing career goals. So that's kind of the gist of it. So to meet these standards, we offer a very comprehensive, engaging, challenging, and hopefully enjoyable experience and program of study. Our primary focus then is really on nurturing competent, open-minded, compassionate, curious, creative, and contributing world citizens. And what follows in our presentation is really showing you examples of how we bring these standards to life at WCS.
So ACTFL has proficiency guidelines, and it's our goal that most of our students are between novice, mid, and high by the time they complete our program. And that means that they're able to have basic conversations around a lot of topics. They're able to order in a restaurant. They can get their basic needs taken care of if they were to travel. It's still a lot of memorized phrases, but they can manipulate them and recombine them in familiar situations. They can ask and answer questions. They can ask for directions. They can ask for a phone number. We try to make it very communicative so that they actually could really use the language if they were to travel. They can usually be understood by, it says sympathetic listeners. That means we know what they're talking about most of the time, and native speakers who are used to non-natives would be able to understand them. They can read short text on familiar topics. They can also write about familiar topics. Some of them write, by the end of 8th grade, some of them write very, very well. And a lot of them, I think, I could be biased, but a lot of them speak very, very well. Everyone learns at their own pace, of course, but our goal is very communicative.
So our program is an elective for students in 5th through 8th grade, and about 3/4 of the students at WCS take a language. Approximately 2/3 take Spanish and 1/3 takes French, which is the national trend that's pretty common of what you'll see across the country. Our 5th graders come to language 3 days a week for 40-minute sessions, and our 6th through 8th graders come every day for 40-minute sessions. So we pride ourselves in incorporating a lot of different teaching methodologies into our classes, but 3 of our main tenets are that our classes are communicative and interactive. We do a lot of speaking activities, role plays, drama, movement, games. Our classes are also interdisciplinary. I think languages really lend themselves to embedding art, language art skills, music, drama, etc. into the classes. And we strive to incorporate global awareness and cultural diversity throughout the course, which you're going to see a lot of in our slides. So I'm going to show just a very short clip of this video. This is an interdisciplinary unit where our intermediate Spanish students learned about los alebrijes, which is a type of Mexican folk art, and our art teacher, MC Baker, came in and taught the students how to actually make these. And then they put together a video of the students speaking about their alebrijes, and they're sort of a whimsical, colorful animal figurines from Oaxaca, Mexico. So we'll show you just a little clip of this.
They are on display at
Guapo, Flaco y Fuerte, vive en California.
Mi alebrije se llama Flora. Es colorida, bonita y magnífica. Vive en el mar.
Mi alebrije se llama Paco. Tiene 24 años. Vive en el bosque tropical.
So that's just a short clip to share with you.
So in the next several slides, we're going to just highlight some of the special events and celebrations that we have throughout the year in order to highlight our program. We use these special events to we really take the cultural awareness piece seriously, and that the students can make connections and understand that there is a world out there beyond Williston and beyond Vermont, and that they can make the connections with other cultures and as Kathleen said, develop that empathy and a little bit of a perspective about the world around them. So one of our biggest event probably is our Multicultural Festival, which we hold each year with the ELL program, the English Language Learners, and all of our beginning students sort of put that on. We're going to show you more in another slide. We also do each year, for the past 4 years, this will be our 5th year, a community service project to really get the kids involved in some global citizenship actively. We have a carnival and a Mardi Gras parade each year. And we really try to get the cultural connections beyond the school and beyond the classroom. So we take trips to the Flynn when there's appropriate presentations there. We've had Flynn teachers come in and help us teach drama and acting and different active ways for the kids to learn the curriculum. Dance and music workshops, we've had guest speakers, foods and fiestas, of course, art projects, pen pal letters. We try hard to make it real, show that it's relevant.
So to understand where in the world French and Spanish is spoken, and to build those cultural understandings and knowledge base, our first year students adopt a country for the year, French or Spanish speaking, and throughout the year they'll do independent research. They show evidence of their learning, they share their learning with their classmates, and they assemble all of this into a trifold, which we display at a community event in May. Some of you may have participated in those already. And the students make a food from their country of study. They bring it in, we have a big potluck, and there's some cultural entertainment. We join with the ELL students as well. And so they have done some project on their cultural background and bring in foods, and all the families are invited. So it's a big celebration. It's a lot of fun, and our 8th graders oftentimes, when reflecting on their world language experience, cite this as one of the projects they're most proud of.
Another cultural connection we make is our more or less annual Carnival and Mardi Gras parade, and we used to do this as part of our classes, and we now do it as part of the Related Arts Theme Week. And the students who take these workshops learn about carnival celebrations around the world. I just want to point out that this is not a typo. That's how it's spelled in Spanish, just so you know. And the students, they learn about how it's celebrated, where it's celebrated, and then depending on the workshop, they make floats or masks and shakers, and we have a big school-wide community parade right before the February break, so actually coming up this Friday. And it's a really positive school community event.
Did I skip one? Oh, no, sorry. We've attached in the past few years, we've attached a community service project, and we started this when there was the earthquake in Haiti, and decided that it was a really good natural connection to teach the students about and to actually have them take part in helping. So they made ribbons, and they informed their peers and their families about information about the earthquake in Haiti, and they collected donations for the pins, and we donated that money for the Haitian relief. The year after that, there were 2 students at CVU who were taking a trip with their Spanish class to Dominican Republic, and as part of their project, they were doing a supplies drive, school supplies for kids, and also clothing. So they came and presented to our students, and our students collected huge amounts they brought in supplies and clothing, and then the students came back and presented again about their trip to our classes, which was awesome. The last 2 years we did Heifer International, which kids can really relate to the animal piece, and Heifer International has some really good videos on their website. That really explain how just donating one animal or a few animals can really spread. The program does a great job of spreading. Everyone who receives an animal has to also give to another community when they get, whether it's the eggs from chickens or the milk from the cows, and so they pass it on. And the kids made posters and buttons and raised money, and they actually raised quite a bit of money. It's been something that I think they've been pretty proud of.
So we've already mentioned some of these, but we strive to have as many cultural connections for our students, to make those connections for them as much as possible. So here we have a few examples. One year we had some exchange students from Costa Rica come visit us, present to our classes, and then we did gave them a Vermont experience by taking them cross-country skiing, which was brand new. A lot of them were seeing snow for the first time. We also were fortunate enough to have an actual Spanish pop star come in and work with our students. She taught them flamenco and did some immersion activities, and then also did some performances for the entire school. We have had various, each time we have an Asian scholar, we have them come in, and this is Tao, and she worked with our introductory students. And last year we had a group from Nicaragua, Planting Hope, come in. They work with school children, and they did workshops with our students, our introductory students. And finally, every year the Vermont Foreign Language Association hosts a poster contest, and there's a reception at the State House, and we have actually had quite a few winners from Williston. So this is one of the recent winners of that contest.
Who has also won again this year. That's last year's picture. Michelle Chouanier is our other counterpart who we mentioned couldn't be here tonight. She is a fabulous performer, Franco-American performer. She sings, she has some albums. She does traditional dance, and one of the things she likes to do is to teach the kids how to do the traditional dance and teach the kids some of the Franco-American history and songs. And through her connections, she was able to bring in a couple of times actually, but Benoit and Antoine Bourque, who are well known in the Franco-American community for their singing and also their, I don't know, you probably don't call it percussion, but like they played the spoons and other
Bones.
kitchen items. Yeah, bones, and they taught the kids how to do that and how to do traditional dance. And they had concerts with the kids in it, and then they also gave their own performances with Michelle as well. So that was really cool.
And so we thought we'd end with a very short video clip. This was put together in the fall of 2014, and it focuses just on Spanish, but we do similar things in French as well. You'll see highlighted the group that Ginny spoke about from Planting Hope, the Nicaraguan troupe that worked with our students. And then you'll just see a couple of students and some of the different things, art and fiesta type things that they've done in class. So it's very short. And afterwards, we welcome questions if you have any. And we also just really want to thank you for being such a supportive board.
Thank you so much.
It really has made a huge difference to us and I think to the students. So we know that, financial times sometimes are quite challenging. So we appreciate your support even through those times. Okay.
I learned that I love Mexican food.
Mi amo Guapo Pablo. Yo tengo 12 años.
I learned that the Day of the Dead is a happy time in Mexico.
I like trying new foods.
I like the food at the fiesta. I learned that Mexicans view death differently because they say it's part of their life cycle.
Hola. ¿Cómo te llamas?
Me llamo Nacho. ¿Y tú?
Me llamo Clara. ¿Cuándo es el Día de los Muertos?
El Día de los Muertos es 31 de octubre hasta 2 de
Studying a foreign language helps students increase their sensitivity to and understanding of the language, values, customs, and traditions of others. This in turn fosters a sense of humanity, friendship, and diversity awareness.
That's it, in a nutshell. And we give special thanks to MC Baker, who's helped us put together some of these videos over time.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
My daughters both, I just want to talk about the pen pal letters have been so enjoyable for them, both, creating them and talking about their lives, but especially receiving them from, kids in France and understanding that, some things that they share that are the same and the things that are different about how they celebrate things.
We were very fortunate to have had that connection, and unfortunately, she just retired, my friend in France, so we're trying to get another connection, but what I thought was interesting about that is as we did it since the 90s, so as the times advanced, we started doing more with technology, and the students were able to share presentations about their towns and do more with video. It was kind of neat.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thank you so much. That
Oh,
was
you're
great.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Sorry, we didn't bring you any of that Mexican food.
Great job.
Thanks.
Stefan, can you turn the
Yes.
Okay, so just quickly before we continue, I neglected to, I just wanted to say hello and introduce Brendan McMahon and Amanda Marvin. I know we all know them, but I just wanted to go on record that we really appreciate the fact that you're here and that you're both on the ballot to become board members. So we hope to see a lot more of you soon. So if you have any questions as we go through the process tonight, please just pipe up and ask. So let's continue into section 5.0, reports to the board. Principal's report, this all comes in your handouts, but Greg, is there anything in particular you want to highlight, or?
Nothing in particular. I'll certainly take any questions the school board may have. I also wanted to add one thing that was a late announcement that didn't make it into the report, and that's Williston had a great participation in the Penguin Plunge. We had, I'm just going to look at my notes here, 24 adults and students who were on the plunging team this year.
Great. 14
girls, 6 boys, 4 staff. The 4 staff were Becky Martell, Lynn McClintock, Maria Harlow, and Jody Bartlett. And students were really excited to plunge. It was a fun event. We raised $3,800.
That's
Vermont
great.
Special Olympics.
That is great.
So that's exciting. We hope to increase the size of the team next year. Are there any questions about the principal's report?
I had a question about the app.
Yes.
And whether or not that was going to work on all devices, because I know all apps don't necessarily do that, so.
It'll work on iOS and Android, which covers pretty much everybody.
Okay.
I don't remember, when do you think we're going to see it?
We hope to have it live by the end of March.
That's great.
And the way we anticipate it working is, it's going to be expandable almost, you can go forever with it. So we'll open it in a limited way and then build and build and build and get more and more people access to using certain features. Like we'll start with the administrative assistants in the offices, then we'll expand it to maybe the athletic directors and the music people who need to communicate.
That's great.
Yeah, that's going to be really great. Okay.
And the only other question I had is since I don't have children at Allenbrook, I've been desperately looking for pictures from the Lantern Parade. I haven't seen any. Are there?
We'll get some up.
Okay.
There may be a few on Facebook, but
Oh, yeah,
I have
yeah.
about 35 on my phone that I have yet to.
I know I went through
pass
all
along.
the lower grade houses, and I was like, maybe somebody has one on their
It was a
blog or
great
something.
event.
I
I
know.
got
Great.
lots of photos.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me, and I'm so
Yeah.
sorry I didn't get to go. It sounds like it was an awesome event.
Yeah.
Turnout was incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Any other questions? Okay, CSSU debrief. Let me go take a look back here. Most of us were there. I have to say, aside from the normal course of business, I thought the presentation was incredible tonight from Bob Bick, who took us through a really, tough but honest overview of substance abuse, especially opiate abuse, throughout the state and in Chittenden County in particular. And the numbers are staggering, to say the least. And, I think that the entire CSSU board walked away from that understanding that it certainly does affect all of us in a lot of different ways. And it's something we need to consider as, something we need to consider as we move forward.
Well, and I think the question at the end about, the children we're just starting to see in our schools who might be children of opiate, whose families are dealing with opiate addiction, or we may have students in our high school, whatever it is, it's affecting our community and the services that we'll be delivering to kids and to support families. So.
Yeah. Other than that, Karen, can you think of anything in particular? I can't. I'm just looking through here to see. Yeah, we'll take it up in action matters, but the CSSU board voted to schedule the retreat for May 26th. So we will hopefully be affirming that with our attendance later on during action.
And then the only other thing that we may discuss at the next CSSU meeting is some sort of review of a position on the marijuana legalization legislation, so.
Yeah. So, more to come on that. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it for CSSU debrief. Second quarter FMR, that's in your handout. I love to ask Bob to give an executive summary of the executive summary, just because I think it bugs him.
The result of the work between Greg and I and the staff has been to produce a report that estimates we're going to finish close to on budget. We or estimate a small deficit, but that is within the margin of error of what we've got ahead of us for the next 12 months. And the challenges have not changed significantly. They continue to be keeping a close eye on operations and maintenance as we expose areas that need taking care of that might have been hidden or beyond our view for the last 3 or 4 years. And Greg has Lyle on somewhat of a short leash to make sure when Lyle has to do something, Greg knows what he's doing. And but nonetheless, there's more money that needs to be spent in the facility, and those on the facility committee understand that landscape. So I think we're okay. This won't be the year for you to generate a whole lot of money to throw into fund balance.
Yeah.
But we'll finish close to budget. So I'll take any questions you might have on, or Greg and I will, on any of the 3 areas of the budget.
This outlook does not anticipate the 180K issue we may have at the CSSU level, or does
Yeah,
it?
what Greg is referencing is we've got about a 188,000 net shortfall in special ed this year that has come about since the beginning of the year with changes in service plan and changes in severity and needs of children in a number of our schools. If that number holds up after a thorough review locally in each school and with Megan, it would lead to.
I think it's around $50,000.
Is that what I included in that? About a $50,000 hit to the budget
50,
in Williston would be the share. The CSSU board has a decision on whether to assess back to cover that shortfall or use some fund balance to kind of lessen the damage.
Understood.
And so they'll be talking about that in the March-April timeframe.
Okay.
So for the use of fund balance for that kind of thing, you don't have to go to the voters, or?
Fund balance at the CSSU level, you don't have to go to fund balance. You have to
Okay.
go to the board, and they have the authority to disposition it at their discretion.
Okay. And then the $11,000 for food service that might be over current budget, what happens with?
You have a board policy that if that 11,000 survives all the way to June 30th of this year, assuming you have enough room in your budget to cover it in the current year, you will. So it's automatically taken out of your general fund if there's money there. And if there isn't, it just stays on the food service side of the ledger until such time as money is available to cover it. Okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Just a note about O&M, it relates to this. Got a call.
Oh, I got a call. So I don't like that.
I don't recall. I was out of town. I think it was Monday. It was Sunday, and we had a pipe that froze
Not
above
surprised.
the lighting booth in the auditorium. Froze, then thawed, then leaked. Turns out it split. The pipe split in about 4 locations. So we had a fair amount of water. It was discovered by Kathy Reinlett, who was working on the weekend in the auditorium. Fair amount of water leak into the lighting booth and then out into the house. So Kathy called Lyle right away. Lyle called me right away. We had a professional contractor come in to help with some of the water removal. And it's drying out nicely. And the plumbing situation has already been repaired. We don't know if the lighting booth's going to be kaput or if when it dries out it's going to be okay. We had a related heat loss in 2 classrooms across from the cafeteria, the fax room and the because of that, the water
Yeah.
needed to be shut down.
Yep.
That has been corrected. So, haven't seen the bills for this issue, but things like this come up.
Yeah.
And what I want to do whenever we have something like this happen is to explore with Lyle, you know, how is cold air getting to that part of the building? Is there anything we can do to, obviously the conditions are extreme.
Yeah.
But is there anything we can do to get warm air up there or to keep cold air out?
Understood.
Is that the back of the auditorium?
It's the back of the house, yes, the back of the house. So
That
when
back little room.
the highest section, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that borders the outside right there, doesn't it? Or
It's got to be close.
Yeah, it would actually be adjacent to the dining room, but I don't know where the pipe is, if that is higher than the dining room ceiling, so, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Program council, do we have, I don't think we have anything.
We were expecting Chris Sadich-Lawton, I'm guessing, some weather-related reason
Yep,
he's not
that's fine.
here. We did have a meeting recently, very productive. I did not prepare a summary for you today.
Fine, we can see it, we can see it next
Kathy
time.
briefed at FAP, I can't remember.
We talked about, I mean, the big themes I can share, was the final meeting in a 3-meeting series about our placement
Right,
procedures.
yeah.
So what we do, our systems for going about student placement, and essentially with the goal of making it better. So we'll come away with a list of recommendations and the administration will consider. I began a presentation of our study on multi-tiered systems of support. And those were basically those were the 2 big themes from the meeting. Oh, the administration also presented a guidance document that was a result of work that the program council started last year around how initiatives are supported at Williston School District. So there's a lot of talk from the staff, a lot of concern about the staff. Well, you know, when we take on these big initiatives, they have impact on the way we do our work. And let's look at the process let's look at what systems we can put in place to make that be successful. So that was a journey that, you know, that happened last year, but we had all the information to synthesize that. And we created a guidance document that it basically says this is how we handle initiatives at Williston School District. This is what happens before, this is what happens during, and this is what happens after. And a big part of that guidance document is being really thoughtful about planning, creating a one-page rollout plan that covers multi-years, so people can get a handle on what the work really is and what's the multi-year lens.
Mm-hmm.
So that was received very well. We'll get that up in prominent places and make sure we live by it.
Okay.
I think that summarizes program council.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
FAPAC, Karen?
You're not gonna skip it
I'm not. I was gonna go for 3 months in a row where I forgot it, but no.
Boy, Shaney skips it too sometimes. It's like the forgotten child.
Oh, skip school board?
Yeah, yes, that's right, yeah.
See?
Yeah, she skips me,
So
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
payback.
there you go.
She's watching.
Somehow she knows,
Yeah.
yeah. She's watching all the videos.
One of the big agenda topics at last week's FAP meeting was they did a second round of educational grants to the classrooms, and there was another about just under $2,500 in grants given out to classrooms from fundraised money. So to support creative classroom programs, and so that was approved. And then we talked about our upcoming fundraisers. There's a variety show on March 11th, a Lucky You internal fundraiser for the school. This is the second year of that. That's March 14th to the 18th. And then the Big Basket Raffle is April 2nd. And then Williston Runs for Education is May 14th. So those are sort of the balance of the fundraisers for the school year. And we had a lot of discussion around being more creative with some of our fundraisers and perhaps collapsing some of them down to like having them on one day and having like a Williston weekend of activities, like, sort of like some schools do with like a winter carnival kind of thing, and trying to combine some of our events into that kind of format, but that's sort of going forward. And I think that's the main. I think we had a little bit of a discussion about some of the fundraising for Upper House fundraisers, Greg, as part of Greg's presentation. So there was a little discussion about how the Upper Houses do their fundraising for their end-of-year trips. So I'm looking forward to more on that in the future, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So that's collapsed into like an hour, you know. That's my 5 minutes and 2 hours of a meeting in 5 minutes or less. So.
Great. Okay, facilities. So I can start this one off. The plan right now, well, the process where we are at right now, the facilities subcommittee meeting has met, well, at least once in the past month, if not twice, and we're preparing to come to the board in April for discussion, to present basically our findings, and present a recommendation for coming to the community for a bond. We're not prepared to get into all the details of that now, but we will in April, and then we'll ask the board to vote on that in May as action. The outcome of that, though, was, or an outcome of the work of the committee, you will see tonight in action, where we're asking to open up a construction fund project. We had included in kind of the work, taking a look at the water. Gosh, I'm losing it here. Yes, the stormwater plan for the school, and there is an opportunity, and maybe that's even the wrong word to use, but if we work with the town and get to them plans by a certain date, then we can, and we improve our stormwater facilities, we can then turn those over to the town, and the town will maintain them in perpetuity as part of their town's stormwater plan. This would be very advantageous to us, in my opinion, and so that's what we'll discuss later on tonight. But that came out of the work of the facilities committee, subcommittee, recognizing that we wanted to do that before we, we're ready to do a bond or try and roll it up there. Any questions?
Kevin, can I just clarify?
Yeah, please. Did I miss something? Because
I think we said March to discuss, April to act.
You're correct. I'm sorry. I'm completely a month off. You are absolutely correct. So it will be next month.
For the facilities?
For the facilities, yeah. Yeah. And, yeah. And honestly, there's two reasons for that. We'll be incorporating the new board, and they're going to have to work through this, to completion. And the timing just works. So with the other stuff that needs to happen. So.
We wanted to allow enough time to engage the community.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that catch, Greg.
Yep.
Okay, on to discussion matters, 6.0. 6.1, policy. So this is in your pre-reads. These are the two policies that are for discussion this month, bus discipline and transportation. I guess I'll open it up to discussion if anybody has anything that they want to feed back to the policy committee at the CSSU level to, for final discussion before it comes back for action next month. This is the time. I thought these were pretty straightforward, although at the CSSU level there was discussion and I think people didn't understand that transportation isn't necessarily a mandate. It's not stated by law that we must provide transportation. However, it's kind of like the last thing you really want to pull out of your plan. You need to get kids to school. So that doesn't really have much to do with the actual policy per se, only in that because I think it came up in the context of discipline, because with discipline, the policy states that bus drivers have a right and need to, for safety reasons, may need to remove a child from the bus, and then administration can then deny the use of the transportation system for disciplinary reasons, and so.
Well, also in the transportation policy revision, the proposal is to
That's
remove the
right.
language that says as required by law, because it isn't technically
Because
required
it
by law.
isn't technically required by law, so. Those are the major updates that I recognized anyway out of it.
So as it relates to the budget, then you could still make those route cuts even optional.
Absolutely,
Because
yeah.
I thought it was mandatory, like, is that optional?
No, it's actually not, and lots of school districts approach this, in a number of different ways. Yeah, okay. So 6.2, budget informational meeting preparation. So, should come to no surprise that we have to deliver a presentation at town meeting. I think I forwarded it to all of you. This is the final version of the flyer that I believe is coming out in the Whistle this week.
Observer.
Been around too long.
Whistle.
And on top of that, we have a presentation that we've used, a template that we've used that comes from CSSU to help us out, that we then tweak for our specific needs and present that at town meeting. Actually, I think we're going to have a pretty fair version of that coming up real soon, because Greg and I, although I haven't told Greg yet, it might just be Greg, need to be at RETN tomorrow night to present it on air, so then that gets recorded and is available for everyone. But,
You're bailing on me.
well, there's a CSSU meeting tomorrow night that I got to find out whether there's quorum or not. We'll talk about it after.
Okay.
Good news, I finished my stuff about 2 hours ago, so.
Well, anyway.
So we got something to work with.
I think the only other thing that I want to discuss is that on top of presenting our budget, shortly after that, the Act 46 committee will be starting to roll out communications about what's going to be happening there. That is intentionally meant to be done more after town meetings, so that the individual boards, individual towns can concentrate on getting their budgets communicated and passed. Although I would expect that there might be some questions from the floor and some interest. So the Act 46 committee is trying its best to put together some deliverables, like a one-pager like this with an FAQ on it and some facts that we can just hand out to people when they come to town meeting. And the message will be that we've scheduled an Act 46 night that we will be presenting all of this to the community on a certain date that I can't recall right
April
now.
12th.
April 12th at CVU.
Here.
So we want to make sure that everybody knows that, and that honestly we don't have all of the information available to discuss it in detail at town meetings.
And this is about consolidation, the Act 46.
Yeah, 46 consolidation work, that's correct. So just something to know, the public has every right to ask questions, but I just want to make sure that they know that we will be diving into it in detail.
Right, there won't be a presentation at town meeting about.
Not at all. Any questions about what we need to do? How we need to do it?
So, just, I've only been in the audience before, so are we all board members usually there, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I strongly encourage the board to show up and,
You can be in the audience this year.
Maybe not. No, not until the day after.
Not until the day after, actually.
You sit until the day after.
Yeah.
I do?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to be there.
I just put in my schedule, so I'll be there.
Awesome. the board chair presents, so at least you don't have to do that. And then we take questions, and it's the normal town meeting procedure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, for town meeting. I
Yeah.
thought you meant the April 12th.
Yeah, no, for
No,
town
the
meeting.
town meeting,
Yeah.
you gotta put that on your calendar
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
February
Oh.
29th.
Yeah, we're just coming back from Mexico. So I think we'll be back in time.
I'm coming
I'm
back. from
traveling
vacation
back that
time.
day,
I'm no peer pressure, but
Hopefully we'll all be.
Yeah, there's that big
It's
storm,
not gonna be-
none of us
Yeah,
are
the
there.
same plane that doesn't quite
Greg, are
make
you
it back.
here?
Greg's getting the short end of the whole evening here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And are you,
um,
you're there, are the principals there? I forget to, are you?
I was expecting to be
Yep,
there
yep.
in case
Yeah,
questions
usually,
come up. that-
usually
Okay,
they
that's
attend. Or at least Greg does,
Mhm.
to address any questions about curriculum or
Okay.
that sort of stuff that might come.
Just related, Kevin and I were invited
Oh,
by
yes.
the Williston Richmond Rotary to present
Oh, last
last week about the
Yes.
school budget. So that was Thursday morning.
Yeah, that was
So,
a good it was a good presentation. It was well received and good questions.
Yep.
Definitely a good group to do the first presentation at.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Next one's easy. Communications Board's Corner. I think you saw with Karen's great help, we put together basically an editorial that I've asked Stephanie, the editor of the Observer, to run this week also. Although I haven't heard back from her, so I'm gonna give her a call and dog her down tomorrow, and hopefully she gets it in. She's usually pretty good about that, though. That's all I have there. Unless anybody has anything they think we need to highlight for March coming up after town meeting. Hopefully, it will be a thank you submission, for supporting the budget. Okay.
Because it would be too early to do anything on facilities kinds of things.
I would feel more comfortable presenting to the board at the middle of the month and then putting something out after.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. Great. Moving right along, action matters. 7.1, scheduling the retreat date. The recommendation is May 26th, and the CSSU board adopted that date. Can I have a motion to adopt the retreat date for the Williston School District for May 26th?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Discussion, any questions? It is a Thursday, so you know.
And for information, you want to just share what it?
Yes. Yeah, you might find yourself of interest here, having interest. So at the end of every year, all of the boards for all 5 towns in the CSSU schedule a retreat date that is a full day meeting. Locals in the morning and CSSU in the afternoon, where we discuss how this year went and start to build our work plan for next year. The schedule fills up quick, so we have some pretty good discussion about what we want to see, what we want to address. When in the year is it important to look at some things and try and anticipate that. So it's a really important meeting. It kind of sets the schedule and the tone for the whole year. And it's encouraged that if you can do it, please stay for the afternoon, because the CSSU level stuff is a bit of what I call the bigger picture discussion items, like this. We had a discussion speaker tonight about substance abuse. Those sorts of topics are discussed and planned at that point also. So it's a very productive, good day. Okay. Any further discussion? So all in favor of adopting May 26th as our retreat date?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 7.2, approving the construction fund project opening. Okay. Did I print this out? Greg or Bob, could I ask you to step in here and maybe just do
Yep,
a highlight?
the material was in the packet.
Yep.
Though this might feel like it was a surprise to some board members, it's not been a surprise to Greg and I or the Facilities Committee. Probably, I'm trying to guess when Lyle and you and I were contacted by the town. I'm gonna guess it's about 2 years ago, as were a number of property owners in the town, that the town of Williston had kind of lost sight on keeping stormwater permits currently kind of across the whole landscape of the town, and was working with the state to get it corrected, and provided property owners an opportunity to join together and more efficiently and effectively meet the obligations of the law to have up-to-date stormwater permits. So at that point in time, we had your civil engineer to begin to do work on exactly what the scope of the work was that would need to be done if we were part of the single permit within the town. We had that all in hand, and then the Facilities Committee took shape, and we collectively decided that the stormwater work would be a great add to the Facilities Committee work. And that all worked fine until about 4 months ago, when we realized the timeline for the Facility Committee doesn't fit with what the town's obligation is for stormwater. So we again decided to shift gears and said we need to get the civil engineer started to get stuff submitted to the town by the April 1st deadline, basically to outline in a little more detail exactly what we're going to do as part of that permit. So this proposal is to fund the engineer sufficiently to do all the detailed work, to be able to put it out to bid, and to support permitting if the town's activity goes that far. And we recommend you do it. We do not want to lose the opportunity, as Kevin, you started with, to kind of be able to be on board with the most efficient approach to get current, which would be to partner with the town and other owners. And so this just allows us to do that. You have sufficient money in the construction fund to cover it, and so we're asking you to open a project with a construction fund, thereby authorizing the expenditures of your civil engineer to meet the deadlines that the town has obligated themselves to be under. And this is to bring stormwater permits, discharge permits into compliance, a condition that they haven't been for some 10 years.
So really no difference in the scope of the project or the requirements of the project, or potentially the cost of the project. It's just that if we get it done earlier, then the town will take the future permitting of all the, and maintenance of all the.
I think, a great question, Kevin. I think the actually detailed work that we're going to do on the ground in the two schools to get compliant probably doesn't change. What does change if we do it with the town is the permitting approval. The timeline for the whole process gets a whole lot more efficient, because you'll be one of 20 property owners, including the town, that are getting compliant with principally flows into Allen Brook. So I think that's where the efficiency comes in, is we'll all be heading together to go through this process rather than the state and others working with each group individually.
And this project is to put together all of the documentation and the design work and everything to submit.
It's documentation and design work. It doesn't include construction cost, but it's in essence allow us to get to the cost of construction very quickly once the town agrees that they're moving forward en masse.
Okay.
So should we go for a vote in May for consolidation, and should that be successful, and then all, by 2017 or whatever, all buildings become the property of CSSU, does that change any of this with the being under the permitting of the town?
I'm not a lawyer. That said, my understanding would be, to the extent the school needs to spend money between now and July 1, 2017, it is in essence, if you will, sort of on the Williston Town's nickel or the Williston Town's shoulders to collect and their taxpayers. If it occurs after July 1st, 2017, and consolidation has been voted in the affirmative, it is part of the pooled obligations of the new district, which includes all 4 towns of the community.
I think we're paying for it any way it happens.
That's basically what it comes down to, yes.
It's just a
The general
matter
guidance you get
of
is, yeah.
How much, who's gonna do some of the work? Is it
Tan staff,
town
all right?
can do some of the permitting, or, I mean,
We collectively believe either way you want to move forward and get her done. So,
Okay.
so we'd ask for your approval on it to keep the engineer moving forward.
Great. So can I have a motion to open a construction fund project in the amount of $33,600 to support the stormwater permit work?
so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Great. Take this back here. I think I don't want to jinx it, but we're on the record pace. Consent agenda.
So, I have a question about this. We're not supposed to take questions about this.
So technically, if you wanted to do that, just for future, because we'll do it.
We're supposed to do it-
Pull it out of consent. Ask to pull it out when I
At the
ask for adjustments to
adjustments to the
agenda, and I'll
agenda.
pull it into action.
Okay.
That being said, quest away.
My question is about the regional calendar, and which didn't get discussed at CSSU either. We're adopting a regional calendar that we haven't really even looked at as a school board, other than in this packet or discussed. And it includes, somewhere I read, some sort of recommendation that and maybe this isn't part of the regional calendar, is the change in having CVU have Wednesday late starts and Williston maybe have early releases or something, you know.
That is
So-
not
That's
part
not
of the
this.
regional.
That's not part
calendar.
of the region. That was what I wanted
Yes.
to just
Yeah, no, you're right.
confirm that.
Yeah.
Because I read that somewhere too, and I'm like, okay, are we approving this without even having any kind of benefit of some discussion? Because,
No, so this is the calendar that, that basically is fed off of the calendar for it starts at the tech schools.
okay,
And it flows down to the high schools, and then that flows down to K-12, so it's like the skeleton of the calendar that we're all gonna adhere to basically across the county. And once that's adopted, we then plug into that our local requirements for
Okay.
professional development
so
and any other
this says,
days outside of that.
okay, so this says 175 days, but what, something else read,
We may
talking
be at
about going to
178 when
170,
we're done, or something like
179,
that,
yeah.
179, yes. And so we'll discuss and adopt that separately. That
Okay.
usually ends up happening right at the end of the year,
Okay.
because it takes time to put it all in place.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, I am relieved we aren't
Yeah.
starting
that's why
in
it's
that
in
early
consent, because in a sense-
August date again.
There's nothing we can really do about it. You know, we couldn't take action.
This
to-
is the Chittenden
yeah.
County regional
Right,
calendar
exactly.
for everybody.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's great. That's great. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda passes. That gets us to confirming the next meeting dates. However, before I do that, I just wanted to,
What's
you know-
the impact, oh, that, I'm sorry, no,
That's okay,
forget it.
sure.
It's part of the consent agenda.
just a quick recognition of Giovanna and Kevin for their time and years of service. Much appreciated. It's been a pleasure working with both of them, and they'll be missed. So I just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for your
thank you.
time and your
It's been-
service.
It's been, it's a good experience.
You can say now. That's great. So anyway, next meeting dates. So we're back on for town meeting day on the 29th. Then we have our first regular meeting of the year with the reconstituted board on March 15th, and that will be here. That is a public meeting. And you'll notice the time is different. It's 5 p.m., not 7 p.m., because we need to reconstitute ourselves, vote a new chair, vice chair, clerk, and we also need to assign representatives to the CSSU board, who will then meet after our meeting with the new board members. So that's why the timing is a little different. So please take note of that. And so
Kevin, if I could, it's a great opportunity.
Go.
You two need to be sworn in prior to that date to be effective board members the evening of the 15th. Yeah, so if you would visit the town clerk sometime before the 15th.
After the election.
After the
Yes, after the, well, depending on how flexible Deb is. Yeah, after the election before the 15th.
And Deb's not very flexible, so.
We do have a competitive race again in Williston.
Yeah. So anyway, so that brings us to, like I said, 7 p.m. regular meeting for the CSSU board. Board chairs meeting is March 1st at 8 a.m. There's an April board meeting scheduled for 4/26/16 to avoid the spring break. That's nice.
So our April meeting is at the end of the month.
At the end of the month instead of at the regular, third Tuesday or second Tuesday? What do we do now? Third Tuesday? Yes, there'll be a May regular board meeting. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So before we adjourn, we need to go into executive session. It's personnel related. It's the time of the year when we evaluate our superintendent. So we'll go into executive session to discuss that, and we'll come out of that with no action. So we will adjourn directly after that.